Go inside the Crimson Tide with your hosts Rodney Orr and Gary Harris, keeping you informed on everything Alabama. And now, Tiger Insider TV.
Now, this is not file video from 4 weeks ago because Alabama is back in the Georgia Dome, not for the SEC Championship, but for the Chick-Fil-A Peach Bowl. The Crimson Tide took to the field for practice earlier today as they get ready to play in the college football playoff semifinal on Saturday. Bowl week is in full swing. And we're pleased to welcome you in to Tiger Insider TV, presented each and every week by Buffalo Rock, alongside Rodney Orr from TigerInsider.com. I'm WVUA 23 Sports Director Gary Harris. Tonight, Rodney, you know, we've been going with Pepsi Max, but it's the holiday season. I love that sound. I decided to go with a full-fledged leaded Pepsi tonight. How about that? I want a little sugar.
Yep.
Smooth. Good on my throat. You know, I've been battling this now for weeks. Maybe Pepsi will help me out. Remember to pick up some great Pepsi products from Buffalo Rock the next time you're at your local grocery store, where we're going to head out to Zach Tigert, who's live in Atlanta. That's coming up in a few minutes. But first, let's hear from the two head coaches who met with the media yesterday to kick off the week. And both Nick Saban and Chris Petersen talked about how to approach this unique opportunity.
Is this a bowl game or is this a playoff game? Which I think every player has to decide for himself. Every coach has to decide for himself because we are trying to create a balance for everyone in our organization because it is a playoff game.
We always want them to enjoy and appreciate the moment. We want them to appreciate the different venues, the different hostile environments that we go into. We really do. I mean, that's part of this whole thing, this college football, the pageantry. There's nothing like it. You know, pro football is not like it. It's just different. And certainly when you come here for a week and you get all these cool events, we want them to appreciate that as well. And I think there's plenty of time to do that and still stay focused on the task at hand and why we're here.
Rodney, last week we talked about the Washington offense, and we're going to address the defense here in a moment with you. It doesn't get as much publicity as the O at Washington, but they're pretty good in their own right. Ranked in the top 10 in a number of national categories, and Coach Saban said the secondary, the back end of the defense for the Huskies really stands out.
Well, they're very good. You know, they got length at corner. They're very good cover guys. I think the scheme that they play, they don't make a lot of mistakes. They're sort of a little bit Seattle Seahawk-like in the fact that we're going to do what we do, and we're going to do it really, really well.
Yeah, I don't know about that comparison. I think that, I think our secondary played well. I think we have some good players back there that compete and really understand the position. Our whole defense will be tested like, we haven't been tested yet because of the balance that Alabama brings to the table.
Well, Rodney, a lot of people have talked about Alabama's defense, the best in the country, versus Jake Browning, that outstanding quarterback in the Washington offense. But what about this Huskies D? Can it challenge the Crimson Tide offense? Let's talk about their D, particularly the fact that, like Alabama, they force a lot of turnovers now.
Yeah, they're unbelievable. When you're talking about turnovers, Gary, I mean, they've got a phenomenal number, plus 21 in the turnover margin. That's 19 interceptions, 14 fumble recoveries. They've only turned the ball over 12 times this year, and 7 of those were interceptions, 5 fumbles. So they're a team that, Gary, they find ways to create turnovers, and, they convert them into points. I think they've got over 100 points off turnovers this year. So, they've really done a fantastic job in that regard.
And Jalen Hurts, the Alabama freshman quarterback, was voted the SEC Offensive Player of the Year by the coaches in the league. He's also the Freshman of the Year, of course, the All-SEC quarterback. But a lot of people, and I say a lot of people, I mean some of these national pundits are breaking down the game, say he could be a liability, that he's turnover prone, that he sometimes makes mistakes in his decision making, and Washington would like to capitalize on that. Is that something that you see in this game, their defense being able to force him into some mistakes?
Well, certainly, he has had a propensity to do that this year, but, in the SEC championship game, going against a really quality Florida defense, it creates a lot of turnovers. He did a fantastic job. He didn't turn the ball over, so you hope that that's a positive in terms of maybe moving forward, that he, protects the ball, has ball security, and that's certainly going to be important in this game because you can't turn it over and give them extra possessions.
Well, with Chris Petersen and Washington's defense, you not only get great secondary play, Rodney, you also get trick plays. Peterson became a fan favorite when his Boise State Broncos upset Oklahoma in overtime at the 2007 Fiesta Bowl with a number of trick plays to finish out the game. Now, reports from a couple of weeks ago said Alabama's support staff studied every Peterson trick play going back 8 or 9 years. Senior defensive lineman Jonathan Allen says, knowing Nick Saban, that's no surprise.
I don't want to put anything past Coach Saban, so I'm not sure if he did, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did. And I mean, we watch a lot of their trick plays, and they do a lot of trick plays. And when it comes to stuff like that, it's all about discipline as a defense, having good eye control, every man doing their job and not trying to do someone else's job. So as a defense, I feel like we're going to have success with it, but we still have to prepare and practice for it.
They like to have fun, and they like to do something different, and you know, and sometimes you can create some momentum and explosives and those type of things, and you know, and so everybody talks about us doing trick plays, and we'll work against them, and we might not do any, we might do a bunch. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? That's why they keep you on your toes, that's for sure. Still to come tonight on Tigert Insider Television, we'll go live to Atlanta, where our man Zach Tigert is standing by with more from Bowl Week. And we'll check out some of the friendly competition between the Huskies and the Tide leading up to Saturday's big game. And coming up, we'll be welcoming your phone calls, emails, and tweets. As always, the phone number 205-348-WVUA. That's 348-9882. Or you can email us at the address on your screen. Or you can reach us on Twitter using the hashtag TITV. We'll be right back with the only show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide, award-winning Tigert Insider TV. We'll return right after this break. The football game itself will be played on Saturday, but it's a week full of activities for Alabama and Washington at the Chick-Fil-A Peach Bowl in Atlanta. Both teams are competing in hoops, bowling, and yes, even go-kart racing. Some souped-up go-kart races. Now, the events continue today and tomorrow. Then it's media day on Thursday, and by that time, they're going to be getting down to football. But you know what? It is a bowl game. I know it's a college football playoff semifinal, Rodney, but it's also about having fun, and nobody does it better than the Chick-fil-A Bowl in Atlanta. Welcome back to TITV. I'm Gary Harris, Rodney Orr alongside. As I mentioned, the activities go on all week. Lane Kiffin and the Alabama offense will meet with the media tomorrow morning. That should be a treat for everybody. Today, it was Jeremy Pruitt and the Crimson Tide defense. Zach Tigert got to Atlanta yesterday. He was at practice and the press conferences today, and he joins us live from the Media Hotel in downtown Atlanta. Zach.
Hey guys, that's right. Both teams here in Atlanta today continuing preparations for Saturday's matchup, and it should be a marquee matchup. Both teams are conference champions. Both teams have really good offenses, and both teams have really efficient defenses. But why is it that Washington's success and their season keep getting overshadowed? Could it be Alabama's monstrous defensive unit? Even the Washington offensive players that we talked to today at their press conference seemed in awe at the Crimson Tide's hateful 11.
Fast, they're smart. Everybody runs to the ball. I mean, they give 100% each play. I mean, it's much different from any team I think we've ever played against. Sometimes you can see a D lineman kind of just trotting down the field, but everybody's running to the ball. I mean, they play smart D, and they all just give 100% each play, and that's just different than we've ever seen.
They play hard. They're fast. Their DBs are pretty big. They're physical. It's their defense is kind of like ours. It's gonna be fun to go against them.
Very good defense. We definitely haven't seen a defense like this, and it'll be awesome to play these guys coming Saturday.
But while the Washington offense is gearing up for the Alabama's defense is gearing up for the powerful Washington offense led by quarterback Jake Browning. But it's not Browning's 42 touchdown passes, nor is it his 3,000-plus passing yards that has impressed the Alabama defensive unit. It's his athleticism.
One thing that Browning doesn't get enough credit for is his versatility. I mean, he's a very athletic running quarterback. So, I mean, after breaking down the film, time after time, you see linebackers and defensive backs just missing tackles on him and making great throws down the field. And that's something that I don't think he gets enough credit for. So that's definitely something that we've been practicing for. We're going to have to, be ready for.
I'd say the big thing is he protects the football. There's very few interceptions, very few turnovers, which is very important. He understands the offense. He understands what they're trying to get done. He doesn't hold the ball. He knows where he's going with the ball. He throws guys open. He's got a very good understanding of their run game. They obviously have, their RPO game. He gets the ball out of his hand.
Now, all in all, both teams seemed very impressed with one another, and, well, they should be. After all, they are both in the college football playoff. Live in Atlanta, I'm Zach Tigert for Tiger Insider.
Thank you, Zach. Great job over there in the ATL. Well, coming up, Alabama will be well represented at the NFL Pro Bowl. We'll hear what Coach Saban had to say about his former players going to the All-Star game for the NFL. And next, we'll be welcoming your phone calls, emails, and tweets. Again, the phone number on your screen, 205-348-9882. Call in now so you can get through. You can email us at TITV@WVUA23.com, or you can ask us a question or send us a comment on Twitter using the hashtag TITV. We'll be right back with more after this. Two linebackers, two wide receivers, and two safeties from the University of Alabama received invitations to the NFL Pro Bowl. The 6 Crimson Tide players, the most in school history and the most among any program this year. Late last week, Coach Saban talked about seeing his former players succeed at the next level.
We try to do a good job of helping our players develop here so they're more ready to play in the league, and we've had some awfully good players. Every one of those guys are really, really good players, and I'm really excited for them and their families. They did a fantastic job here for us, and to see them get recognized now in the league as one of the top players, is, I think, fantastic for them, and I'm really proud of them and really happy for them.
6 Pro Bowlers.
Amazing.
Not bad. Let's go to the phone lines, Rod. First up is Lee in Northport. Welcome into the program, Lee. How are you?
All right. Y'all have a good Christmas.
Yes, sir, we did.
I hope you have a happy New Year.
Thank you.
All right. I got 2 questions and a suggestion. First question is, how come we've not got an avenue named after Coach Saban?
Okay.
The second question, you reported James Andrews wrote an article, if football was invented today, it wouldn't be able to play. I'd like to know where I could find that article. And then second of all, the suggestion is to have the university rename the zones, the North Nick Zone and the South Saban Zone.
Okay. All right, Lee. The avenues, the streets, the ways, the stadium, field. I mean, I got a feeling all that will be coming at some point in time after Nick Saban's no longer the football coach at Alabama. Just my thoughts. I don't think Nick Saban would want anything. I don't want to put words in his mouth. I don't think he would want anything named after him right now. He's still focused on winning more games, but I think all that will come in time. He does have a statue here on the Walk of Champions.
Yep. It usually does come later. I mean, most times it does, and I think it certainly will.
As far as the article with James Andrews, I tell you what, Lee, if you it was a Sports Illustrated article. If you will email me, gharris@WVUA23.com, I will send you a link to that article, gharris@WVUA23.com, because it's in my head, but I couldn't tell you exactly where to find it right now. But if you send me an email, I'll get it to you. And as far as the stadium, the zones, again, I think a lot of stuff's going to come for Nick Saban after he's done coaching at Alabama. Let's go to Anniston and talk with David. David, welcome in.
Good evening. Happy New Year to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I had 2 questions for you. One of them, I wanted to ask you how you thought our defense was going to really hold up against this Washington offense. And I was going to ask you, did you have an update on the running back Harris? Is he still coming to Alabama?
All right, I think you asked about the I said Washington defense, but I think he was talking about Alabama's defense holding up against the Washington offense. And then what he said?
Yes.
Well, we've talked a little bit about it. It'll be a challenge for Alabama, right, Rod?
Oh, I think it is, because when you look at this Washington offense, there's certainly a lot of balance. I mean, they have 2 outstanding running backs, Gary. When you're talking about Myles Gaskin and Lavon Coleman, these guys are really hard to get on the ground. I mean, they're tough to get on the ground. Gaskin has over 1,300 yards rushing, 10 touchdowns. Coleman's his backup, averages 8 yards a carry, has nearly 800 yards rushing. So they've got a really fantastic rushing attack. They're really versatile. We heard from Jonathan Allen talking about Browning, Jake Browning, and how he's not only a really good passer, but he's athletic. He can make things happen. He can escape. And the receivers are outstanding. John Ross, maybe the best receiver Alabama's faced this year, and that's saying something. I mean, he has 77 receptions plus and over 1,100 yards, so 17 touchdowns. I mean, they're really versatile, and the thing about it is, Chris Peterson does an outstanding job of getting all of his personnel involved. So I think it's going to be a really difficult challenge.
As far as Najee Harris, he's still committed to Alabama. I mean, Michigan, they're still fighting, but What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, again, he's supposed to enroll early. We'll see what happens. That enrolling early means in January for the spring semester. So, it's really close, David. We'll kind of just have to see. But right now, I know Michigan is certainly trying to make an effort to flip him, but he remains committed to Alabama.
And I'm still going to take him at his word, and his mom, too. They say Alabama, so until I hear otherwise, that's what I believe. Let's go to Birmingham and talk with Keith. Keith, what's going on?
Yes, I got two questions for you. First one's about recruiting. I know they've got 25 commitments right now, and if with Bateman and Cornwell leaving and Robinson going pro early, will those 3 scholarships count for us to be able to sign at least 30? And then the second question is that I noticed in the championship game, the SEC, they wore white jerseys. We were the home team. I was wondering why they wore the white, and are they going to wear the white again, being the home team, in the playoff?
You're talking about first the SEC. You were talking about the SEC championship game.
Yes.
Okay, Keith. White. Yeah. Well, we'll get you. Let's start with that because the East Division champion and the West Division champion alternate. Because Alabama had a better ranking and was higher rated in the polls. It was the East year to be the home team. So that's why Alabama wore white. Alabama will wear crimson. I'm pretty positive in this game because they're the higher ranked team. But in the SEC, it alternates. Remember, technically, because Alabama has a better record, doesn't mean anything. If Florida won that game, they were going to be the SEC champions. And it was the East Division team to be the home team. As far as the commitments, those guys leaving and transferring, that will help with the 85 total. As far as how many they can sign, Rodney, they're trying to maneuver that all right now.
And that doesn't have anything to do with it. The guys he mentioned certainly won't give them any more spots in this class. Right now, I think they're going to sign 26. I wouldn't put too much stock in that number of 25 right now because I think Alabama's got about maybe 6 more guys, Gary, possibly that many, because they certainly need to fill the defensive line. They've got a couple of receivers that I think they're going to take and possibly a defensive back. So, I really wouldn't put much stock in that 25 number right now.
All right, we're going to take some more phone calls when we come back here. There's the number again on the screen, how you can get in touch with us, 205-348-9882. We'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back to TITV alongside Rodney Orr. I'm Gary Harris. Let's get right back to the phone calls. They're lined up for us in this block too, Rodney. First up, let's take a call from Shane in Center. Shane, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Shane with us?
Yeah, my question is, Rodney.
Shane's not there, but he wanted to know about Eddie Jackson.
He's talking.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not hearing him. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Shane.
Yeah, I was wanting to know if y'all thought that Eddie Jackson will be able to play in the playoff game.
No, I don't think so, Shane. I think that injury was a season-ending thing, and it's. I know sometimes guys have opportunities to recover, but I really don't think that's in the plans right now. I think Eddie's done, for his career, which was an outstanding career, obviously.
Okay, yeah, I don't think he's going to play in that game. Sorry I didn't hear you there, Shane. You cut out on me there for a second. All right, let's go to our next phone caller here on TITV. It's Sammy in Walker County. Sammy, how are you? Go ahead.
Okay, Gary, appreciate you and Rodney. Great job, as always. My question is, I just wanted to find out about Richie Pettibone. He had the knee surgery and how he's progressing and everything. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Yes, Sammy, certainly appreciate your question. Richie Pettibone did an outstanding job recovering from that injury, Gary, rehab, and, he's got a real promising future, redshirt freshman out of Washington, D.C. at the offensive guard spot. I think, Sammy, again, once we get into spring practice, he's going to have an opportunity to really compete for one of those inside spots and maybe get into the 2 deep or whatever. But, Gary, I think when you look at him physically, he looks really, really good.
All right, let's try to get one more call quickly. Leroy in Oxford. Leroy, what's up? Okay, Leroy's gone. He wanted to know about smoking cigars after the Tennessee game, which is just a post-game ritual. What players might do. I would guess that most players don't smoke cigarettes, Leroy, and it's highly encouraged that they not. It's not good for you. So that would be my guess that most of them.
I don't even know if the NCAA allows the use of the cigars in the post game.
Yeah, it might be a small violation. They'd have to report every year. But if you win, you go ahead and do it. All right, thanks for those phone calls and those tweets and emails. We'll be back to wrap up TITV right after this. Alabama got to practice at the site of Saturday's game, the Georgia Dome, but Washington was relegated to Georgia State in an outdoor practice field. The Huskies will move indoors to the Georgia Dome for tomorrow's practice. Well, Rodney, we haven't had to do this in a while, but we're both 13-0 in our picks, just like Alabama is. We picked Alabama 13 times, and 13 times they did us right. But now it's game number 14, college football playoff semifinal, Chick-Fil-A Peach Bowl in Atlanta, Alabama versus Washington. How do you see it going down?
Well, 2 years ago, Alabama went to New Orleans, and maybe that was a blessing in disguise, losing to Ohio State. Maybe some people took them lightly, and, it kind of has that same feel a little bit. Everybody you talk to around town thinking Washington can't stick with Alabama. But I'm telling you, this Washington team is a really good team. I'll be very surprised if they don't come in and play really well. They've got an offense that can put some points on the board. Obviously, they're very stout defensively. And I really like Chris Peterson, their head football coach, in a really big game when he's had an opportunity to prepare. I think it's going to be a really good game, Gary. But I think in the fourth quarter, Alabama takes over, wins at 31-20.
I'm going to be very similar in my comments. And I've said this a lot this year, Rodney, that I respect the Alabama opponent because in these big games I always do, and I think the football team does. Washington's a really good team. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're back here again next year. But this year, right now, on Saturday, they're not quite ready for what they're going to face. I think they'll play a good game. I think they'll play tough. But Alabama has too many weapons on both sides of the ball. I like the Crimson Tide here to double up the Huskies. 34-17, Alabama advances to the college football championship game in Tampa against the Clemson, Ohio State winner. Our beautiful shirts and ties, as always, provided by the Locker Room in downtown Tuscaloosa, home of the original Elephant Wear. I invite you to stop by and see their stuff for yourself, or you can shop online at their website, locker-room.biz. They have a great inventory of men's and ladies' clothing, and check it out at the Locker Room. Also, you can watch a replay of this show tonight at 10:30, and it's available all the time online at WVUA23.com. For Rodney Orr, I'm Gary Harris. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.